John Law was a Scottish economist, financier and gambler who became France's chief minister of finance in the early 18th century. He is best known for founding the Banque Générale and orchestrating the Mississippi Company scheme, an ambitious attempt to restructure France's debt through the issuance of paper money and colonial trade. Although initially successful, the system collapsed in 1720, resulting in one of the first major financial bubbles in history. Despite the failure, Law is remembered as a visionary who anticipated modern ideas about credit, money supply, and central banking. In this video we will tell the story of John Law and the Mississippi Bubble as detailed in our book, A History of Banks. If you want to learn more about financial history, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. On a misty April morning in 1694, Bloomsbury Square in London was shrouded in silence. The only sounds were the chirping of birds among the trees. However, this silence was shattered by the clanging of swords. In a secluded corner of the square, two gentlemen were engaged in a duel. The young athletic John Law fatally wounded his opponent Edward Wilson with his sword. The reason for the incident was a woman, Barbara Villiers. Villiers was the official mistress of King William III, and Law had fought to protect her honor. However, dueling was illegal in England, and the penalty was death. John Law was sentenced to death but managed to escape and flee to Europe. This event would not only change his life, but also the developing banking industry. John Law is a significant figure in European financial history. Born into a Scottish banking family, Law was well educated, handsome, and charismatic. Gambling was both a way of life and a means of livelihood for him. He had a knack for numbers. His knowledge of probability theory and mathematics enabled him to make substantial profits from gambling. He also had a keen interest in economics and banking. After fleeing England, Law supported himself through gambling while traveling across Europe. In the Netherlands, France, and Italy, he built influential connections and studied Amsterdam's new paper money system. Observing a shortage of gold and silver, he proposed a new model for money and banking to spur economic growth. According to the Law, money is not just a valuable metal, it is a medium of exchange. This medium can be created by the state as credit, not as metal, but as a substitute for land. Therefore, paper money should be used instead of metal money to support economic growth. He outlined these ideas in his 1705 book, Money and Trade Considered. He presented his proposals to many countries, primarily England, but they were rejected. In the early 17th century, Europe was plagued by major wars and mounting debt, with France on the verge of bankruptcy following Louis XIV's prolonged conflicts. With depleted gold and silver reserves, France turned to John Law for assistance. Backed by his ally, the Duke of Orléans, he was permitted to establish the Banque Générale in Paris in 1716. A year later, Law established a trading company for the French colonies around the Mississippi River, present-day Louisiana. This company later became known as the Compagnie des Indes, also referred to as the Mississippi Company. The company's purpose was to operate mines and land in the Mississippi region, the French colony in America, engage in agriculture and trade within the colonies, and assume state debts to secure state financing. The French monarchy granted Law's company special privileges, including the right to collect taxes, exclusive trade rights, and the authority to issue shares and purchase public debt. His bank began printing paper money in exchange for Mississippi Company shares, France's first experiment with paper money. Law promoted the company heavily, exaggerating the region's gold and silver wealth, claiming the shares could cover state debts. The dream of quick wealth spread widely, drawing in everyone from commoners to aristocrats and the royal court. By 1719, Mississippi Company shares soared from 500 to 10,000 livres, fueling a speculative frenzy. But the region lacked the promised gold and resources, and colonial ventures struggled. Meanwhile, Law's bank flooded the market with paper money, causing inflation to surge. Investors rushed to sell shares and exchange banknotes for gold, triggering panic and a collapse in confidence. By early 1720, prices had crashed. John Law suspended gold redemptions, worsening the crisis. By year's end, stocks had lost over 90% of their value. The bank collapsed, Law fled and died in poverty in Venice, and widespread losses hit all classes. John Law's Mississippi experiment was one of the earliest major financial bubbles, but also a bold attempt at modern central banking. It showed how state-issued paper money could boost the economy while exposing the limits of monetary power. For the first time, a government tried to restructure public debt through paper money and securities markets. For years, paper money was distrusted in France, blocking actual banking development and reversing liberal reforms. Although Law's ideas were discredited, they indirectly influenced central banking. Historians often see him as a dreamer, but some economists view him as a bold pioneer who grasped the credit-based nature of money early on. Looking back today, issues such as central banks stimulating the economy by printing paper money, governments borrowing through the bond market, and the inflation of financial asset prices based on economic expectations, are similar to the ideas put forward by John Law. His mistake was to create excessive speculation through uncontrolled money printing without real productivity. John Law and the Mississippi Crisis are an early example of how the modern financial system oscillates not between rational expectations but between hope and fear. This experience reminds us that the financial world is shaped not only by economic data but also by social psychology, politics, and narratives. The Mississippi Crisis had long-lasting effects not only on the monetary structure of 18th-century France but also on trust in the state and the value of money. Some historians even consider it a threshold that increased systemic distrust among the people, paving the way for the French Revolution of 1789. You can find more information in our History of Banks. Enjoy your reading and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.